I get people all the time telling me, you can't divorce somebody except for abuse and infidelity. That's the only biblical grounds that a person has to divorce. And I want to just highlight a few things that we also need to consider in this conversation. And these are things that I'm talking about, I'm researching, I'm learning about. Number one, publicly, a person may never share with you their reasons for divorcing. And just because they didn't tell you, it doesn't mean they don't have them. Number two, when we talk about there is only one reason or two reasons for divorce is abuse. I hear you. What constitutes abuse? Is that physical? That only abuse that's acceptable is when somebody physically punches somebody in the face, physically slaps somebody? Is that the only abuse that's acceptable? What happens when somebody's being financially abused, when their spouse is spending up all of their money and cashing in their retirement to buy shoes and cars and clothes? What happens when a spouse is controlling the other spouse by not giving them money to spend for food and groceries and in the household necessities? What happens when somebody's emotionally abused? When they're in silent treatment, when they're not doing what their spouse wants them to and they're ignored? What happens when somebody is being abused, but they don't know that they're being abused? They just know they're not loved. They know that they're not happy. They know that something is wrong, but they don't know what it actually is. What happens when your childhood trauma is abuse that you've never dealt with? So when you meet your partner and they treat you the same way your daddy treated you or your mama treated you, you don't know. How will you know that you're being abused unless somebody actually tells you or somebody teaches you or you're exposed to that information? Tell me, what happens when it's spiritual abuse? How many times does a person have to physically hit you before it's time to go? There are all kinds of nuances when we talk about whether something is right or wrong. What I think we need to do more of is put ourselves in the person's seat. Sit with them. Understand life from their POV instead of giving them rules and doctrine and information that we have not fully researched ourselves. So I won't tell a person the only way that you can leave your marriage is if you were abused, when I understand that there are so many ways you can be abused and that you can live in a relationship for years and years and years and not even know that you are being abused to leave the relationship. But someone might be 30 years in and say, I can't do it anymore. That you sleep upstairs, I sleep downstairs, I can't do it. And we make them feel bad for coming to that conclusion. Let's sit in their seat. Let's empathize with them. Number two, we talk about, or if I said number two, number three, four, five, we talk about infidelity, that the only way that you can divorce your spouse from a biblical perspective is if they have been unfaithful. Okay, well, what constitutes infidelity, friends? I really want to know, okay? So that when we tell somebody, well, did he cheat on you? What constitutes cheating? We all have our own understanding of that. We all have our own idea. So in my viewpoint and how I was brought up, I might say cheating is when a man has his man part in a woman's part. And until they have intercourse, that's not cheating. But what if they kiss somebody? What if they went to a massage parlor and had a happy ending? What if they have a porn addiction? I know in the Bible it says if a man looks at a woman lustfully, he has committed adultery or something like that, right? So can you divorce somebody for infidelity if they are unfaithful with their eyes, but they haven't committed the act? What happens? What happens to the biblical grounds when a man is cheating on his wife and she has not caught him, but she knows something isn't right? Where is the justice in that? What does God say about that? For the man that's cheating but is very good at hiding his cheating. But the woman knows in her heart, she knows honestly, this is not right. This man is not good. He is not loving. He is not faithful. I know it. I can't prove it. What happens to her? Is she not just in her decision to end her marriage because she doesn't have photographs? There are some people that can lie straight to their teeth. They can lie and pass lie detector tests. So what happens to that woman? All I'm doing is raising up questions for us to ask. When you are at home and you're making your decision, because I get this all the time, I just don't want to hurt God. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to be displeasing to God because I divorced. We have put marriage on a pedestal above everything else in our life, especially if you are from a faith-based community. And what we are doing is babysitting the toxicity and making it seem really pretty on the outside. All I'm saying is challenge things, research it biblically. Ask yourself the question, ask God the question, and don't allow people in your life that don't share your same POV to influence you, to make you feel guilty and shameful. What helped me was owning my choice in the matter, and understanding is between me and God, because God knows and God sees. And that I don't care what anybody in this world has to say about me. You are not in my physical shoes. You don't know the choices I've had to make. You don't know the sacrifices I have made. You don't know what I've tolerated. I've decided, and it was the best decision ever, to walk away. And only God will be the one to judge me about that. And I wish that other people would share in their own confidence about the things they have had to deal with in their relationships, because this stuff is hard. It's crushing to live through it. It's crushing to go through it. And then it's crushing for people to make you feel bad because of what you decided. When it comes to biblical grounds for anything related to divorce, I challenge you to work your way through every other aspect. So when somebody tells you you can only divorce because of infidelity, I want you to ask them, what constitutes infidelity? When somebody tells you you cannot leave your spouse unless you are abused, I want you to ask them, well, how many ways can a person be abused? How long should a person be abused? How many times should a person be abused before you get the green light? The God I serve loves and sees me completely. He has paid for my sin, past, present, and future. He knows all and he sees all. He is the only one that I will look at face to face. But let me tell you this, I don't have to wait until I die to go to heaven or hell. I get to kind of create in this life my experience. And sometimes doing the hard thing and saying no to people we love and deciding for ourselves what's best is creating heaven on earth for us. I don't know your POV. I don't know your background. I don't know your faith walk. I do want to liberate some people. The decision that you make will be between you and God and nobody else.